The following lesson is linked to Learning Outcome 2, Reading and Viewing. It addresses the assessment standard that requires learners to explore and explain key features of texts and how they contribute to meaning. Learners should be able to recognize how dialogue and action are related to character and theme. They should also be able to recognize the uses of dramatic structure and stage directions.
Hi there everyone. I'm sure that by now you understand that Shakespeare wrote his plays to be performed and not just to be read as texts. So, when you are studying Shakespeare, the idea is not to sit in a classroom battling through his plays. Here are some ideas that you can try out in the classroom to make it more fun. Read the play aloud together as a class or group and even act it out. It doesn't matter if you cannot read the lines properly or if you stumble over words that you do not understand. You'll see that the more you read the play aloud, the easier it will become to understand and speak the language. Shakespeare left us very few stage directions, which can make it hard to imagine or visualize how the characters would interact with each other and how the words and the action in the play would be performed on a stage. And it's not only directors who need to be able to visualize what the play would look like. The way that you imagine and direct the characters, the scenes and the action in your mind will show if you really understand where a character is at a specific point in the play. By the end of this lesson, you should feel confident to visualize the characters and action in a play on stage. So let's start by looking at the few stage directions he left us and what they mean. The first one is enter. Whenever you see the word enter, it means that a character or characters are coming onto the stage, entering the scene. The stage direction torches means that the entering characters are carrying lit torches. Now let's look at the next two stage directions, exit and exeunt. The word exit means that one character is leaving the stage. And the word exeunt means that two or more characters are moving off stage. Shakespeare also made use of music and sound effects to announce the arrival of a certain event or characters. A flourish is music, like a short trumpet passage, introducing the entrance or exit of a king or another important person. Shakespeare wrote a lot of plays that deals with war and fighting. So when you see the word alarum, remember that it indicates the coming of a battle. It is like a call to arms. Sometimes at the beginning of a play, like in Romeo and Juliet, you will see the words prologue and enter chorus. Now in a Shakespearean play, the chorus was a single person who recited a prologue before Act 1 and sometimes a passage between acts. Generally, the chorus informed the audience of action taking place off stage or outside the time frame of the play. If you are not too sure what a prologue is, write down this definition. Is a piece spoken before the play begins to introduce the audience to the play. Can you guess what this would be? The epilogue. Yes, that is a short address spoken at the end of the play. The epilogue comments on the meaning of the events in the play or looks ahead to expected events. Can you remember ever seeing these words in a Shakespearean play? aside, solace, soliloquy, and within. An aside is words that an actor speaks directly to the audience that the other actors on stage cannot hear. Solace means that a character is alone on stage. Do you know what a soliloquy is? If not, write down this definition because Shakespeare uses this device a lot. A long passage delivered by a character alone on stage. He reveals his thoughts to the audience, but not to the other characters. Can you guess what within would mean? That's right. It means that a person speaking or being spoken to is inside a room or behind a door. And that's about all the stage directions we got from Shakespeare. So, we have to think about the following questions when we want to imagine how a play can be translated from the page to the stage. Is the play a comedy or a tragedy? Who are the characters? What are the themes? How important is it to have an interesting stage set? And what costumes will the actors wear? So let's put all of this into practice. Let's try to imagine what the characters and the set would look like for the play Macbeth. Here is a brief description of the play. In the play Macbeth, the protagonist, Macbeth, is the co-leader of the Scottish army and a national hero. But a prophecy that he will become king changes his life. His fatal flaw is his ruthless ambition that causes him to embark on a course of evil that ultimately causes his downfall. From this description, would you classify the play as a comedy or a tragedy? How would you describe the mood created by the play? And what do you think the themes are? So let's look at the very first scene in the play. When we read through it, keep in mind the atmosphere you think should be created here. Try to imagine how the characters would interact with each other. Act 1, Scene 1. An open place, thunder and lightning. Enter 3 witches. When shall we 3 meet again, in thunder, lightning, or in rain? When the hurly-burly's done, when the battle's lost and won. That will be ere the set of sun. Where the place? Upon the heath, there to meet with Macbeth. I come, Grey Malkin, paddock calls, anon. Fair is foul, and foul is fair. Hover through the fog and filthy air. What do you imagine the stage would look like? In the opening scene, we see that the scene is set in an open place. It could be the heath. A heath is a flat, open stretch of land. I imagine it to be a barren and lifeless place. Then it says, thunder and lightning. What images do you associate with thunder and lightning? How would you create the bad weather? Look at the last lines again. Fair is foul, and foul is fair. Hover through the fog and filthy air. This sounds a bit ominous, don't you think? Would you use music to help set the scene? What music would you use? What props would you have on stage? Think about the witches. What do they look like? How do they move and speak? If you read the play, you will realize that the witches are very evil, and many of the characters refer to them as the weird sisters. Many academics have commented that the witches have a striking and obviously intentional resemblance to the Fates. The Fates were female characters in both Norse and Greek mythologies, who weave the fabric of human lives and then cut the threads to end them. Do you have a picture in your mind yet of what the scene would look like? Let's use all this information and see what picture we can create. What would the stage look like? The scene is set in an open place, a barren, lifeless stretch of land. How would you create the bad weather? We can create the effect of thunder and lightning with lights and sound effects. What do the witches look like? We can use makeup and costumes to create the effect of these three evil characters. And now we've got all the elements to start the scene.
When shall we three meet again? In thunder, lightning, or in rain? When the hurly-burly's done, when the battle's lost and won, that will be ere the set of sun. Where the place upon the heath, there to meet with Macbeth. Come, Grey Malkin, paddock calls. Anon. Fair is foul, and foul is fair. Hover through the fog and fill the air.
Do you see how much fun theatre can be? You just need to let your imagination run free. Now, for your task, I want you to put your director's hat on. Imagine that you have been asked to direct a production of Macbeth for your local theatre. Concentrate on Act 1, Scene 7. In your answer, you should consider where the scene fits into the play as a whole. The props, setting, costumes, and sound effects that you might use. How are the characters' thoughts and feelings revealed through their actions and the way they speak? Concentrate on directing the actors. If you want a character to say a line in a certain way, you must explain why and back it up with a quote from the play. Try to train yourself to think what any scene would look like on the stage. At the same time, take every opportunity you can to see Shakespeare performed on the stage, on TV, or on video. Until next time, bye-bye.